I have my notes over here because I don't like to talk without having notes, because I start derailing into different bullshit. So yeah, I wrote 6 pages of notes actually last night. I have them over here. Yeah, okay. So that I kind of like have my mind organized on how to go. So what is the Kundalini Awakening? We hear a lot about this bullshit, especially in Hinduism, and Christians kind of chop it up to like being delusional. What actually is it? So in Sanskrit, Kundalini means coiled snake. So it's basically this coiled snake that is sitting at the base of your spine as a female. And the awakening is basically like the snake uncoiling itself and going up to your spine, right towards your head, towards the crown. So literally fully up the spine, shoots up. That's essentially what it means. It is a form of Shakti, which is the divine feminine energy. I wrote in light blue and there's no light, so I'm also not wearing my glasses. So it's the divine feminine energy, which is also like the awakening of the goddess, essentially. And her home is the base of your spine, as I mentioned, right? It sits there and it awakens, but even when it goes down, it goes back to there. That is the home of it, right? The base of your spine. The Kundalini energy, its source is the root and the sacral chakra of the feminine person, right? Now, obviously, we're going for masculine, feminine archetype. The journey of her awakening leads to spiritual liberation or spiritual enlightenment or further awakening of the non-3D chakras. So the non-3D chakras which become awakened are basically all the chakras excluding the first 4, right? And the first 4 chakras, so from bottom towards the top, because that's how we work here, which are the Earth Star chakra, which is the one in your toes, right, or in your feet, the root chakra, which is the base of your pelvis, and the sacral chakra, which is your pelvis, and also the solar plexus chakra, which is the abdomen and the stomach and whatever, right? So these are what are called 3D chakras, and one cannot project or awaken their consciousness into it. Why? Because it's a 3D chakra. 3D is the reality, right? Consciousness isn't 3D. You can't grasp and hold a consciousness. It's not physically in reality. So you can't awaken your consciousness inside of these chakras in a way. You can heal them and balance them and awaken, but you can't awaken per se your consciousness from it. And obviously I'm going with the 12 chakra system here, not with the 7 chakra system. So instead of starting from the root, I'm starting from the Earth Star, and I'm going up, not towards the crown, but towards the spiritual enlightenment chakra. So we're doing all 12 of them. That is the system that I use. And I'm going to get my cardigan because it's a bit cold now. Informally, you get hit with the start of a journey. So this was like the factual formal shit of what is the Kundalini. Now we're going informally. What's the concept of it? How do you understand this, right? So it's the start of a journey in your life that you can't get out from. This sounds so nihilistic, and it is aggravating at the start of your journey. It is extremely aggravating, you know? And it's up to yourself to shift your perspective onto everything in detail in your life, or in other words, awakening. And that's where it comes from. So like physically, I guess, the coiled snake, chakras, all that stuff, right? But in your mind, what do? You awaken to everything in your life. So what was your past? How will this project onto your future? The concept of time, you will open your mind in such a way where you didn't know that it can be opened. It's like a god energy thing that has woken up inside of you, you know? And it's up to you to shift your perspective, to be like, okay, I'm not fucking insane, but I'm just awakening right now. So it's okay if things in real life aren't making sense, because things are making sense in another sense, right? It's the journey of healing traumas, triggers, diseases, and purifying oneself through source directly. So again, if you have any diseases, like any blood conditions, or if you have ADHD, or if you have like severe depression, or if you have, I don't know, something else physically that's a disease, if you have a disease or a disorder, right? You will heal these through this journey. You will heal these, okay? You will heal these. If you have the disease of addiction, say goodbye to it. I will come back to this later, but say goodbye to it. And I'm not saying that you're gonna have to go through this aggravating time of getting yourself out of addiction, but it's almost like you will do it naturally. You won't even set your mind to it. You will naturally get out of this addiction, right? And why am I saying this? From previous experience, that's what I'm saying this from. Understanding of universal concepts such as time, fate, hope, destiny, unconditional love, perspective, and personal philosophies, morals in action, the laws of the universe, etc. So again, you will open your mind to these other external concepts, right? External as in non-human concepts, non-human made concepts, which technically they are still human made, right? God didn't come here and create time for us. No, we made a concept through evolution about it, but it's not a personal thing, rather it's an objective human thing, and your brain will start reaching there. The awakening and the 5D are higher dimensions, right? So the 5D is the place where you go, if you haven't really been there, but it's the place that you go where you dream, for example. That's the 5D, which is the borderline, right? It's kind of the faraway land of the opposite of the physicality. And you've always been asleep to go to this place, so you needed to literally like physically be asleep, or maybe be psychotic or severely dissociated. You needed to be on drugs to reach this place before, but now you're simply awakening in this place when you're awake and sober, right? And you get to see the beauty of this, essentially. Practices associated with the Kundalini Awakening were adopted into the Hatha Yoga in the 19th century, then adopted into other forms of Hinduism, leading into the conceptualization of it in modern spirituality and New Age thought. So that's more of like a history fact thingy. It is said that the prana, which is the vital life force of life, is birthed into our soul. So what is the prana? It's basically this atom of energy, essentially, and it is in everything. So it is in the universe, it is in humans, it is in animals, it is in grass and nature, it's in the sun. It is the force of energy.